Hi everyone, I'm going to do a screencastify of our Argo week 13 day 2 just in case anybody's having any difficulties. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 is saying how many 1/3 cup servings are there in 12 cups of coffee. So we have to think for a minute, what is it that we're dividing here? We're dividing 12 cups of coffee. So we're going to take our 12 cups of coffee and we're going to divide that by 1/3. In essence, we're asking ourselves how many 1/3s are there in 12? So we could solve this by taking 12 and flipping our division or changing our division to multiplication, and now flipping our 1/3 to 3 ones. And if you multiply 12 times 3, we get 36. So that's saying there's 36 1/2 servings or 1/3 cup servings in 12 cups of coffee. One thing it's important to remember here is when we're solving these problems, we have to always think what's being divided. So if we look at number 2 is saying 21 is being divided by 3. So that's very similar to number 1. We're going to take 21. We're going to divide that by 3. So we're going to flip our division to multiplication. And then we're going to flip 1/3 to 3 ones and multiply 21 times 3. 21 times 3 is 63. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, Karen and her 2 sisters are sharing or splitting a 1/2 gallon of ice cream. So we're going to take a 1/2 gallon of ice cream. Our fraction is being divided this time. Remember, we're always asking what's being divided in the story. In this case, we're dividing a 1/2 gallon of ice cream among Karen and her 3 sisters. So 1/2 divided by 3. We're going to take our 1/2. We're going to change our division into multiplication. And this time, 3 ones becomes 1/3. 1/2 times 1/3 is equal to 1/6. So let's make sure that makes sense. If Karen and her 2 sisters are sharing a 1/2 gallon of ice cream, we've divided up this 1/2 gallon into 3 servings, so each of them would receive 1/6 of the gallon of ice cream. Okay, moving on to number 4. Number 4 is area. Area is always length times width. So in number 4, we're going to be solving this by multiplying 2/5 times 4/5. And if you multiply your numerator, we get 8. 2 times 4 is 8. And our denominator, 5 times 5 is 25. So the area of that rectangle is 8/25 square meters. And that cannot be simplified. 8 and 25 don't share a common factor. Moving on to number 5, what's the value of the expression? 16 divided by 1/3. So here we're taking the number 16, and it's kind of similar to that first question. We're dividing that into thirds. How many thirds are there in 16? So 16, change our division to multiplication, flip our 1/3 to 3 ones, and now you'd need to multiply 16 times 3. 16 times 3 is 48. So if this were servings of coffee and we were trying to figure out how many 1/3 cup servings there are in this case, 16 cups of coffee, we'd have 48 servings. Now, finally, this last question is just asking us to review to see which of the number sentences is true. You have decimal points here. You have to remember that you're comparing the value of each number, really looking at that whole number first. 4 is always going to be greater than 3. So this is not true. Here we have 16 is the whole number, and in this case we have 1/10 and we have 0/10. 1/10 always going to be greater than 0/10, not true. 341 and 4/10, they're saying that's less than 341 and 387 thousandths. We can look at this as 341 and 400 thousandths. Or 4/10 is always greater than 3/10, not true. And finally, the last D, we have 47 and 47, 5/10, 4/10. 5/10 is greater than 4/10. D would be the right answer. Hopefully this helps anybody who needs help with their Argo lessons this week.